Hello, this is the money, business, and inspiration with Joe. I'm your host, Joseph Avaldi. As you know, Hulk Hogan said really bad stuff, and his image and reputation got damaged. On this podcast, I discuss a little bit about that and a little bit about how we must work hard to keep our images clean for business sake. It's true. We need to do that. We need to work diligently hard, and we need to be on our P's and Q's. And this will be discussed on today's podcast. First off, I'm going to discuss about the Hogan thing. Hogan said some words out of anger, and this is my understanding of the situation. He said words of anger towards the men that his daughter was dating. I'm not going to go into detail about it. You know the story. But bottom line, it was found out and his reputation got damaged. Hogan went through a crazy ordeal through his life and through that time in life. And despite his battles that he's faced, he's worked hard through them. And he's helped many people. But that doesn't condone the actions that he did, or that doesn't condone what Mel Gibson said, or what Ima said, or what Paula Dean said. These people said things, damaged their reputation, and damaged their image. And we need to understand something about society and about what we actually face in society. Not long ago, we were dealing with strong race issues, and we had many things in this country that we're not proud of with our history. And it's not the best of histories. And I don't have to discuss it on this podcast. You've already know the history. And this is true with other countries that we're not proud of different stuff. We're not proud of the violence that takes place. We're not proud of a lot of things. Some take pride, some don't. But these issues we've been facing since the beginning of time. It's only recently in this society where we're trying to work through our differences. And that's a very good thing. That's a step in the right direction. But I will say this. It's hard to change people's actions. And way they were raised and the way they were brought up. Generation of the 60s worked very hard and diligently in changing the wrongs of society and the rights of everyone. And I'm going to say this. I even recall overreacting and saying things that I regret after hearing Donald Trump's speech, the candidacy. I guess when I heard stuff, I was overreacting and I was writing off of it when I didn't even think what I was writing or what I was saying. But people should be respected wherever country they're coming from, whatever belief system they come from, and everything else. And I know what I was aiming to say when I wrote the thing about Donald Trump is, yes, it's true. They should come in legally and they should do the right process rather than just coming into the country. They could come to the country, but they gotta do that process, that legal process, that becoming a citizen. Because the times of Ellis Island, when they came over to America to start their new life, they had to work hard to bring others over. This was my ancestors, and this was everybody's ancestors. Nothing came easy. And why am I discussing about this? Because it's a history lesson. During that time, every nationality had their prejudices about other countries. This was a society back then. They all said harsh things, but in some societies, this wasn't the case. They all got along and they all worked together. Because they didn't believe that. They cared about their brother more than what was going on with a certain culture. Now everything is coming about again, and a lot more people are saying these harsh things, and it's not right, and it shouldn't be condoned. I mean, I got sick of watching the news because of it, and I'm not going to get political, even though I wanted to discuss a little bit of the history before I actually get into the topic of why you gotta keep your image clean as a business. I'm going to the break. After the break.
gas and TV, before people had cars. We'd sit round the fires, pass around the guitar, remembering songs when my daddy was home. He'd play along on the spoons in a comb. We'd go with the flow when the weather was fine. Sometimes we'd go collecting scrap iron. Then we'd sit around the fires, pass a bottle of wine. In the tales of the road, since time out of mind. Heaven's like this, well, that's okay with me. Where the living is fine and living is free. If heaven's like this, well, then here's where I'll be. On the edge of
back at the podcast. Sorry about that. There was a moth that was flying. I had to cut to a break. But I'm going to discuss about keeping the image clean for your business. Now, the main reason why I gave a little history lesson in the beginning was because it's important to understand where the people coming from, the backgrounds that they've come from, and the words that were said, and the words that could damage your reputation. Now, in this society, there's Facebook, there's YouTube, there's blogs, there's